Hello and welcome to the Perth Gaming Cruise Show. We are back again and we have a big one for you people in Perth and beyond. I'm joined today, as always, by my co-host Johnny. Johnny, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fab. Right at the end of summer, beginning of autumn. Very pumped to take the people in Perth and beyond through all the major showcases that we've enjoyed in February.
Awesome. And Tim, how you doing, my friend?
Really good today, man. Thank you. And I thought it'd be really good of me today to wear the uniform, as you can see here.
Matchy.
Yeah, matchy. This was not planned.
I usually only do this with my children, but hey, why not do it on a podcast for the internet to see? It's good. So, people of Perth and beyond, we do have a big one today. As Johnny mentioned, there have been a lot of showcases. Today, we are going to cover the Nintendo Partner Direct that was earlier this month, and then the Sony PlayStation State of Play. But we're also going to throw a sprinkling in of more news because both companies had further announcements to throw out there, both inside the IGN Fan Fest and outside of it. So we're going to cover the really big ones today. We aren't going to cover every single game. There's just too much to cover. We're just going to cover the highlights for each of us, all the ones that we just really want to talk about because we've got something important to say about it. Johnny, I'm going to kick off with you, so to speak. Talk to the people of Perth about your first pick of today, which is from the Nintendo Partner Direct, Captain Tsubasa 2.
Yeah, so John, I like my soccer games. I've played a lot of different soccer, football games over the years, and I like them as much as I like the more sort of serious, straight up and down soccer games. I'm a little bit partial to an anime soccer game, going way back to the NES and the Tecmo Cup. I don't know if people remember that. That was a classic anime soccer game. But in the Nintendo Partner Direct a couple of weeks ago, there was an announcement that Captain Tsubasa 2 World Fighters is releasing on Nintendo Switch sometime in 2026. They didn't give it. They gave a obviously release window of this year, but didn't give a particular date. I'll be very surprised if Bandai Namco doesn't take advantage of hype around the FIFA World Cup in the middle of the year to release it. I'd be very surprised if they miss that window to get when people are generally the most hyped about soccer/football. Yeah, as I hinted at, I've got quite a bit of nostalgia for the Tecmo Cup, which was based on, of course, the Captain Tsubasa manga. So I'm actually pretty keen to check this out when it comes out. I love an anime soccer game. We were just talking offline before we started the show. The quirks of anime soccer are always great, like the wild flapping of limbs while people are running, the long pauses for monologues before taking a shot at goal. These things are all great in my book, and I reckon I'll be checking out Captain Tsubasa 2 when it comes out.
Awesome pick, Johnny. And actually, the first game is available on Switch, and it's kind of good to see that this is coming to both Switch and Switch 2 because there's such a huge install base for the original Switch as well. Why would you not want a soccer game that has a monster truck in it? It looks awesome, Johnny. I reckon I'll get on board and give that a crack too. Well, I'm going to be a little bit greedy myself here and go into my first pick. Sorry, Tim, even though you've joined us today. The Partner Direct was pretty exciting for me because there are a couple of big kind of heavy hitters in there. The first one for me was Turok Origins. Now, I'm excited for this because even though this game was already announced prior to the Nintendo Partner Direct, it wasn't clear if it would be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and we're in that part of the life cycle of Switch 2 where it's quite new. We don't know which big games are going to be cross-platform that are coming across from like PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. I will say here and now that as much as people might love games like the Ocarina of Time, my favorite game on the N64 was Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. Freaking amazing for so many reasons. It's so good that they're bringing this series back. I was a little bit concerned that I saw a lot of third-person action because it's a FPS, a first-person shooter. But you can play in first-person shooter mode, and there is a lengthy single-player story. So I'm happy. This looks really good. I'm just hoping that it converts across well. So this is meant to be coming out in spring in the USA. So for us, that's between March and May. Turok 2 Origins looks really good. Very pumped for it. Lads, are either of you aware of the Turok games, or did you want to say anything about this one?
I don't know, Johnny, have you heard much about the Turok series?
Obviously aware of the Turok games, but N64 was the Nintendo console I missed, so I kind of missed out on all the Turok excitement. Have you played much of them, Tim?
No, like my uncle had actually told me that he used to have Turok comic books.
Oh.
And, when I saw that there was a game on the N64 back then, I was very interested to play it. But again, like much like yourself, it didn't have the N64. I think my cousins may have had a copy, or they'd borrowed a copy and they rated it. But this looks spectacular. I'm really looking forward to trying this one out.
Nice. Well, speaking of what you are looking forward to, Tim, I understand you are slightly excited by the adventures of Elliot. Tell us some more. That was your pick for this showcase.
With regards to that, I'm going to say it right now, lads. I think that The Adventures of Elliot is going to be my favorite game of 2026.
He's calling it.
I will add for the Nintendo Switch 2, because this game was the one that was probably biggest tipping point for me, making me want to buy a Switch 2 this year. And as you guys already know from our chats offline, I did end up picking up a Nintendo Switch last week. This game has that, as it says here in the graphic, that similar HD 2D art style of Octopath Traveler, and it just looks it absolutely looks magnificent. You see these beautiful pixel designs for the characters. It just pops really well against those HD backgrounds. And I think what's probably most exciting is that there's that real-time combat. When I was doing some reading up on this one, they said it's reminiscent of apparently Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom. I was sold on that style of gameplay because I really do want to experience it again this year. I mean, you guys know how much of a Link to the Past veteran I am.
You played it through to completion.
and this reminded me of that. Just the way that the character Elliot moves, the combat. You see these giant, intimidating bosses, and I think it's going to be really fun to learn attack patterns so that you can defeat them. But I think what's low-key awesome about this, the feature that may end up being the dark horse, is that there's going to be a co-op mode where the second player can control the fairy character Faye. One thing about single-player games is that you'll enjoy it so much, but it can sometimes be difficult to convey how amazing it is to other people. Words sometimes just can't do it justice, and oftentimes you'll tell people, just go out and experience it yourselves. But with someone being able to drop in while you're playing the campaign at the same time, I think that's a brilliant move from Square Enix. And there's 4 ages that you can travel through. This may be the closest that I'll get to playing a Chrono Trigger like game.
Yeah.
Without playing Chrono Trigger. But yeah, it just sucks that I have to wait 4 months now for this game, even though I have the console. And I've watched the trailer over and over again.
And there's a demo out now, I understand, to check out as well. Tim, I did want to ask you, because there's quite a few HD 2D games that Square Enix has put out. And starting with the original Switch, which I know, Johnny, you picked up, the original Octopath Traveler. Tim, being new to the Switch 2 ecosystem and those games, why did you pick, why are you most excited for this rather than Octopath Traveler, Zero, or Octopath Traveler 2, those games, the other games that are made in the HD 2D style?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I think it's probably more the combat for this. There's just something a bit more fast-paced when it's real time. I have played some turn-based combat games in the past, and Octopath Traveler looks amazing. I've seen so many reels on that. That is one that I'm fully intending on getting at some stage this year as well. But this just sort of jumped out at me, and it really spoke to me. And having recently finished Link to the Past, I was keen to sort of relive that kind of experience, that kind of gameplay, and this looks massive too. So I reckon it's going to be quite a meaty game that I'll be able to enjoy for possibly a couple of months or a few months.
100%. It looks enormous. It looks fantastic, and graphically does look like a bit of a step up from the original games too. So I'm sure you'll have plenty to enjoy there. Johnny, what is your second big pick for the Nintendo Direct Nintendo Partner Direct?
So there was a section as part of the Direct where I think it was Bethesda talked about their games that are coming to Switch 2, and as part of that, they provided a release date for the port of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to Switch 2.
Yes.
Very exciting. It's got a 12 May release date this year, so first half of the year, which is fantastic. Just quietly, I was a little bit disappointed. I was hoping it would come out in April because I've got a bit of time off work around the April Easter holes, but nevertheless, a first half of the year release date is pretty decent. So very excited to finally get the opportunity to try out that game. It's been one that I've been interested in for a very long time, but just didn't have the means to play it as I wasn't in a position financially to shell out for an Xbox or a decent gaming PC. So for it coming to Switch 2 in the near future is very, very exciting, and it's great to have a solid date now.
Yeah, I'm just as excited as you are, Johnny. I mean, when this game was announced, I think we were messaging and saying, it is coming across. And again, it was that kind of validation that the Switch 2 is getting games of the quality of the Xbox Series X and S and the PS5. We're big fans of the movies, really excited to have this come across. I think it'll be good in handheld. And what's really exciting is that Digital Foundry have already looked into the Switch footage of this. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but they think it's looking good. They think the port conversion's looking really clean. There's not a big drop in fidelity there. So that it's really exciting. It's just exciting to see, I guess, also with the Switch 2, getting these kind of big third-party games come front and center. And it was great to see Bethesda provide that support with Fallout 4, being a huge game on other systems over the years as well. And then the Elder Scrolls as well. I can't remember the name of that game, but they're coming across as well. So it's really awesome. Really excited for those. Well, my last pick for the Nintendo, Partner Direct is Final Fantasy the Remake. So Final Fantasy Remake is something that's been out for a little while. It's coming in June. I don't have footage here, sorry, but I guess for me, I'm really looking forward to a Xenoblade Chronicles sequel or something from Monolith Soft, and nothing's been announced at this stage. So it'll be interesting to see if that series comes sooner or later. But to fill the gap, it's awesome that we've got Final Fantasy, the remake that's been available now, and it's quite cheap. But Final Fantasy Rebirth is something that's just on PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, whereas the other one was a PS4, was on that generation of games. So again, to see something, I guess, new-ish come across to the Switch 2 is really exciting. I've never played any of these games before, so just can't wait to get my hands on them. So really excited about Final Fantasy Rebirth, which is coming out in the middle of the year. Tim, I believe you also had an honourable mention that you wanted to give for the Partner Direct. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was just scanning through, and Kyoto Xanadu really stood out to me. There was just something about that game, moving from 2D side-scrolling, but then, boss battles that are in 3D, with, I think there were some social elements to the game. So, it just seems like this massive blend of different things that, games like, say, Persona do, that I was thinking, this is the kind of game that I think I would like to experience, particularly with the Switch 2. So yeah, looking forward to that one when that releases.
Awesome. Well, people of Earth and beyond, there was a lot more that was announced in the Partner Direct, and there was some more Nintendo news, which we'll get to a little bit later. We do want to move on to the Sony PlayStation State of Play. Tim, I might throw to you for this one because there were some massive announcements, and I think it's fair to say that PlayStation 5 fans are eating good this year. There's some really big stuff. Overall, very well received. Tim, talk to us about the God of War Trilogy remake. What is going on here, and what did you think about that announcement?
Zeus, your son has returned.
Yeah.
And that is all we got to close out the graphics of God of War 1, 2, and 3, along with the title God of War Trilogy Remake. I was checking out the release dates of the original games. I can't believe it's been 21 years since the first game released, almost 20 years since the second.
Gee,
and
wow.
It'll be coming up to about 16 since the third one came out. But I think that, like going back to the roots of the franchise, like it's, big-ish sort of anniversary years. And particularly with that announcement being accompanied by the original Kratos voice actor, T.C. Carson. That was a major nostalgia trip for me, so it definitely resonated quite well, like you got that classic music as well. But having said that, I thought the presentation itself was pretty sparse. I hadn't really, like before meeting you lovely gents, I hadn't really had that much experience with, just looking closely at these state of play presentations. But, like this to me, like just felt way worse than a tease.
I agree.
Having said that, like just seeing TC Carson here, I'm really glad that he's returning. I'm guessing to re-record lines, like that rage in Kratos's voice back then that's still ingrained in my mind today. I think it'll be interesting to hear how he sounds now, if he's going to be like doing some extensive re-recording. I've no doubt that he'll be able to summon, that same sort of rage quality. But I think, maybe there will be like a more mature edge to it, and like I think that's going to be something to listen out for. I'm curious to know if they're going to remake it with like that third person perspective, like the recent God of War games.
You'd think so. You'd think so because it is an action platformer, right? Like you think they would do that.
Exactly. And, like there's precedent, they've done so well with the latest God of War games. And, like say, for example, what I'm playing recently, the Resident Evil 2 remake, which is, that change from force perspective to, third person behind the shoulder. It works so well. I just think that like, seeing like some of the old fight scenes as well, and trying to imagine how they could look with that third person perspective. Like, can you imagine how massive Poseidon will look at the beginning of God of War 3, or even like the Hydra, the first main boss that you fight in the first game. But yeah, look, I want to keep it brief. I think that this presentation popped purely because of the use of original voice actor T.C. Carson, but also shadow dropping that God of War Sons of Sparta game. Like I think that like being able to like give fans something immediately following this presentation was probably what saved it. And like for me personally, like I'm curious about seeing what the original trilogy will look like remade. I'll finally get a run back of God of War 1, which I never finished. I never got the chance to play God of War 2. And yeah, I do want to relive the epicness of the conclusion with 3, which is the one game that I did finish out of the trilogy.
No, I'm with you there. I've only played the third, and I played the remastered version. It was a PS4 launch title for me when I bought that console, and still holds up extremely well. Superb game. I agree that like this was probably the highlight of the presentation, although I always have mixed feelings because there's no footage, there's not even a CGI animation. We've started development on a trilogy remake, and we were just talking about the second game in the Final Fantasy VII trilogy. The first game is probably 4 or 5 years away, potentially a PS6 exclusive. We're getting Wolverine this year, which was announced 5, maybe 6 years ago. So it's gonna take a while to arrive here. But still very exciting. I think this is something that I guess PlayStation and God of War fans have been wanting for a long, long time. Just the recreation of that original trilogy. There's so much to get back into there. Something that is a little bit more in the immediate future, though, is what was also a massive news drop, and Johnny, I think this is probably one that was most exciting for you in terms of what came from Konami, because I know you had some highlights from this presentation, but tell us what Konami's decided to put out in relation to their latest anniversary for Castlevania.
Yes, indeed. And I have to say, in general, I went into the Sony State of Play not expecting too much. I didn't have very high expectations. And I was pleasantly surprised by how many things in the Sony presentation that excited me. And one, of course, was the announcement that Konami is not going to sleep on the 40th anniversary of Castlevania later this year, thankfully. And they've announced a new 2D platformer called Belmont's Curse. It looks like your the art style and the character design looks very much in the vein of the Netflix Castlevania original Castlevania series, and then it looks almost like this must be the daughter of Trevor Belmont and Cypher Belnadis. So that's pretty exciting. That's neat. And there's a little reveal of a wizened Trevor Belmont at the end of the trailer, which got me very excited too. Look, I have to admit, fellas, I had a moment of panic when I thought, because this is part of the Sony presentation, and I thought, oh no, this is going to be a Sony a PlayStation exclusive, and I'm going to have to go and buy a PS5.
Sympathy and Night all over again.
Yeah, but we found out later that it's also coming to Switch, so I could breathe a sigh of relief. But it does look really cool, and I dig the art style. It's given me a little bit of Ninja Gaiden Ragebound sort of feels, vibes a little bit. Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden have always kind of influenced each other a little bit, so that kind of works. What Johnny? I take it you're pretty excited for this one too.
Yeah, I mean, this is being developed by Evil Empire, who did Dead Cells, and they did the Return to Castlevania DLC for Dead Cells, and I think people just thought surely they're going to be given they've earned the right to develop the latest or newest Castlevania game. And this has been, let's not kid ourselves, we talked a while ago about the wait for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, but people have been waiting for a quality, traditional, but I guess it's a roguelite. It's still a Metroidvania. Oh, I think it's a Metroidvania, not roguelite, sorry.
Yeah.
In the series. And this, to me, just looks perfect. I think it's great that they've drawn on the Netflix Castlevania series. Like that kind of glass, what is it like the glass window in a cathedral? That's what it reminds me of, like very heavy kind of stained glass window vibes. I think it looks beautiful. I loved seeing the classic bosses in there like Medusa and Death. I was like, yep, this is kind of like a reboot. And I love what they've done with the central character here, coming to Switch and Switch 2 as well. And I'm sure the Xbox Series consoles and PC. Very excited for this, fellas. I think we're kidding ourselves if we think we're not going to be doing, a series spotlight on this game alone or a game review. But the developers also did the Rogue Prince of Persia, and I think, Tim, you probably have something to say about this game as well.
Yeah, the art style and the gameplay reminded me heavily of Rogue Prince of Persia. So like there were some things that I didn't like about Rogue Prince of Persia, but I think that with this game being a Metroidvania and just being like more about exploring rather than doing run after run after run in a roguelike game, I think that would probably better suit this series and this style of gameplay even more. And it's looking beautiful. There is this one part where the protagonist dives down, and I was like, man, that reminded me so much of one of the levels in Rogue Prince of Persia. So I'm very curious to see this one, and I think this will look great in handheld mode, to be honest. So yeah, excited to try.
No, it looks exciting, and I will just add, no doubt Konami will release some sort of special edition of this game with an artwork book and some sort of vinyl recording, whatever. I mean, I'm there. This is day one for me. It looks incredible. Very excited for this. I might pivot here and Tim throw to you because you did want to give a shout out to Kena Scars of Kosmora, which is the sequel in the Kena series. I was surprised that you were interested on this one. I don't know much about this series. Can you talk to us a bit about it?
Yeah, man. Like I've never heard of the Kena game series until this state of play. I was looking up some more about it. It was developed by Ember Lab. Again, hadn't heard much of them, but you guys might be interested in their resume because almost 9 years ago now they released a fan film for Majora's Mask called Terrible Fate. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen it, I think you guys should definitely carve out some time to check it out. It's not a long clip, but it was just amazing to see how capable they demonstrated themselves to be, at least with animation. Following on from that, they decided that, making a game was going to be the next natural step. Initially, I think Kena was going to be a series, but then they just said, no, this looks more suited to being a gaming experience. Again, missed the first one. I don't understand how I could have missed it, but it was released during COVID, so that may have been partly to blame. I don't think I'm going to have time to go back to the original, but this looks like it's going to be a spectacular jumping on point. There's this really, really beautifully rendered world marking the return of protagonist Kena. She's meant to be older in this game. She's a spirit guide. And, from what I'd seen from clips of the previous game, she sort of helps lost spirits move on. And the combat itself looks very much like 3D Legend of Zelda. Some people have said that, it's Souls-like in terms of difficulty. And she uses all manner of weapons, but it looks like there's a lot of magic that's combined in it. The combat just looks great. And from this trailer, I was enjoying some of those more modern day mechanics in adventure action games. There were some split second dodges that she was doing. There were parry blocks where it would sort of like slow down time. And there was also jumping arrow shots, which I was like, man, this kind of looks like, you get to be like Legolas for a second. But yeah, even the scope of it, as I understand, they've expanded it quite a bit. You've got these really beautiful environments. She's traveling across these sweeping vistas. It reminded me of riding through fields in, say, the Ghost of Tsushima and Yote games, but with more of a fantasy setting. And again, it pops. This really, really helps show off what the PS5 Pro is capable of. And I think what I like as well is that there's these heavy Southeast Asian influences. There's it reminded me a lot of the Disney Pixar. I think it's a Disney movie actually. Raya and the Last Dragon.
That's so funny you mentioned that because that's exactly what I was thinking, and my daughter's been watching that the last couple of days. That's
nice.
Exactly what I was thinking. Looks like a playable Raya game. Yeah,
and that's the thing. The way. Well, Raya came out in early 2021, and the first Kena game came out later that year. I was interested that these two separate properties had so many Southeast Asian influences. From this one, I do want to play it because I want to see how they've incorporated the Balinese and the Japanese influences. Some of the music from Balinese ensemble group. If I mispronounce this, I apologize. But Gamelan Sudamani. It's beautiful. They're just these rich, these cultural and spiritual melodies. And, from the brief snippet I heard, I was just this will be really amazing to listen to as you play the game. And, this looks like a very mature sort of game too, because it, from the first one, it was kind of an exploration of handling and coping with grief. With those sorts of mature themes, I think, we could be in for something really special with this game narratively. And, my PS5, I need to clock some more hours on it this year. So this game is probably going to be one for me.
No, it's awesome to hear. I think this will be really well received. And it is really just picking up that Disney movie. It looks brilliant. We'll show on the PS5 Pro for sure. Well, one of my picks from this State of Play was recently, Crystal Dynamics has released the Soul Reaver collection. Now, those games come from the PlayStation era of games, and when they announced this, which is from the PlayStation 2, a remaster of the Legacy of Kain Defiance, I was really excited because I I grew up on Nintendo, so the NES, the SNES, the N64, but it wasn't until I hit the GameCube era and I was, at university and starting to look left and right and think, oh, kind of Xbox is kind of good. Could I leave Nintendo? Oh, well, maybe a PlayStation would be nice one day. And this is the game I had game envy for, or one of them. There were a few on the PS2. Let's not kid ourselves. I think also for me, coming from that era, it's hard to go back to. I don't know how you guys find this when you play a specific console, but it can be hard to go back to retro games on another console when you don't have that lens of nostalgia. And I found that with the Soul Reaver remasters, they just looked and felt and moved, all of it. Like the remaster looks good, but to me, it's just a bit too old. But this looked really good. So the Legacy of Kain series is just really well known. It's third-person action adventure game, heavily steeped in vampire lore. The mechanics look a little bit more sophisticated in this compared to the original. So this is one that I've set a task for myself to catch up on my PlayStation gaming background knowledge. Really looking forward to it. It looks really exciting. So that's one that I'm keen on in particular. Have either of you guys played the Legacy of Kain game? Did you miss out on this era? What did you think of this one?
Yeah, I completely missed this era, man.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember it because I think I had like a demo of a Kain game, but it might have been even before it was like Legacy of Kain. I think there like Blood Omen or something like that.
Yeah, so those were the original remasters that were done. I think came out last year from the PlayStation. There was 1 and 2, and then this is the one that was released on PlayStation 2. So you'll see the market difference between them. But they were big on that platform back in the day.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. I think that was another. There was another Legacy of Kain announcement as well.
There was.
That was for like a 2D one.
Yes, there was. Yeah, that looked quite good as well.
Yeah.
But Johnny, I know that you were also excited because there was another quite, I guess, big announcement for you that you wanted to cover today. Tell us all about the latest John Wick game.
Yeah, there was a really cool teaser trailer for a new John Wick game coming to PlayStation 5, but I think also at some stage to Xbox and PC. I'm a very big fan of the Wickverse. I love the John Wick movies. I can't say I haven't actually tried out any of the previous John Wick games. There was one called John Wick Hex that I was vaguely interested in, but never managed to actually pick it up. They gave us like a cinematic trailer showing, and they showed a tiny bit of gameplay. But it was just cool to see the John Wick in action again. It's been a couple of years since the John Wick chapter, I think I want to say 4, although he had a little appearance in the John Wick spin-off Ballerina, I think last year. So I got very excited. I again started to do the back of the envelope calculus. Can I afford a PS5 to play this in its fine form? They don't have a release date yet for this one, so I reckon I probably got a bit of time to get myself organised, maybe with a decent gaming laptop or something to try this out. Being a very big John Wick fan, so I will definitely want to get stuck into this. I did have to giggle though when I was rewatching the trailer on YouTube. One of the first comments was, "A pencil better be available as a weapon available." So obviously, there's a great line in the beginning of in the John Wick movies about John Wick taking out someone with a pencil. I think that's pretty exciting. Yeah, to get like a John Wick game of this level of quality, is pretty huge.
Yeah, well, the developers are working with the director of the series, Chad Stahelski, and Keanu
Mm,
Reeves to create this game. So
yeah.
clearly, it's a big budget game. A lot of it, I guess, was cinematic trailer. We saw a bit of gameplay in there. But Tim, I know you're a huge fan of martial arts movies. Are you a John Wick fan? Does this appeal to you?
Absolutely, man. And you know I love a movie tie-in game as much as anyone. Fool me once.
So people are perfectly on. We have our bargain bin episode coming up later in the year for movie tie-in games.
We're
What do
just
you reckon,
lucky.
Tim?
We're just fortunate that there was no John Wick in the 80s. Otherwise, we would have gotten crouching Keanu like the like
Like the
Total
Total
Recall.
Recall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that there would have been like some inexplicable mechanics and animations, inexcusable animations, I would say. But yeah, this one looks like they're taking care, with the property. This is all like well and good, like with these animations, but like with seeing like some of the executions and like the gun fu, I'm very curious about it. I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled for more news on this as it develops. But yeah, like Johnny, very big fan of the John Wick series. I do hope they do this property proud.
No, it looks good. Hard to tell when it's going to release. Like, it does look like something that might be a little while away, but I think that's okay. We saw plenty here. Makes me worry even more about that God of War trilogy remake that are going to announce when there's literally nothing but the voice actor talking.
They can it,
Yeah. Oh, don't. It's too early. No, it could happen. I guess the cherry on the cake, whatever it is. I guess the good thing about this state of play was that Santa Monica Studios also did drop, I guess for the God of War games, it wasn't developed specifically by them, but we did get a 2D, is it a roguelite or is it a Metroidvania? I might need help on this one, Tim.
More Metroidvania.
More Metroidvania, okay. So God of War Sons of Sparta was just shadow dropped. Sony's decided that they like it when Nintendo and Microsoft do this for their presentations. And look, very clever shadow drop to do because it's a big game, but not so big that it needed the whole marketing wheel behind it to get out and about to the world. I thought this looked really good. Now, I know the reviews on this so far are mixed. I haven't played it. I can't comment to that extent. But I did like what I saw in terms of the art style, and I did feel that pang of jealousy like you did, Johnny, in terms of the Belmont's Curse and the John Wick game, and go, oh, damn it, what a freaking good state of play. If only they announced the Wolverine game release date in this, which they didn't, and surely they wouldn't do that anytime soon. We'll come back to that. This game looked great. Like it just looked really good. It looked like it's in the same vein of a lot of the modern Metroidvanias that we're seeing, although it's more of an origin story. Again, mixed reviews are out there, so I can't comment on this. Tim, what did you think of this one? I know you had something you wanted to mention about this one as well.
Man, I was super excited when this dropped. You guys saw like my excitement as I was texting you guys. I was strongly considering buying it immediately, but like having learnt from the past, like when just sort of like leaping before I look and then just buying a game without checking out any reviews. I'm glad I waited. It does look like it'd be a fun reintroduction, I guess, to the Kratos mythos. But I kind of felt that time's limited, man. Like, and if the reviews are like really mixed, or if it's just continuing to get worse, maybe I need to hold off on getting this game and just wait for it to be available on PlayStation Plus, like, as a freebie for 1 month. Like it does look really cool. Like a lot of the animation and stuff here does remind me of what I played most recently, which is Rogue Prince of Persia. So like I probably would be able to enjoy it on that level. But like I don't know if I can justify like a $45 or however many dollar purchase of this game that I didn't even know was in development. Like I think like, yeah, sometimes, yeah, like, the common sense has to prevail, and I need to invest wisely in whatever choices I make regarding my next gaming purchases.
And look, the reality is you've got at least, 5 years before the Trilogy remake comes around, so there's plenty of time to come back to this and let people play and review it first and tell you how bad it is.
Man, I haven't even finished God of War on PS4 or God of War Ragnarok on PS5, so I've got plenty of like pile of shame killing to do.
Well, those were the highlights from the Sony PlayStation State of Play. Tim, I understand you had a couple of quick honourable mentions you wanted to throw out there for the people of Perth and beyond. Did you want to list those quickly now?
Oh man, like I love Dave the Diver so much. So I was actually surprised that there was not one, but there were two fishing related games.
It's a new thing, isn't it?
Yeah, like I was saying, sorry, was this for this was in IGN Fest. Sorry, I've made a mistake here. But from the State of Play, let's backtrack. I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to wanting to play more Souls-like type games. Beast of Reincarnation looks incredible. Like just the amount of combat, but also the level of detail in the graphics. It looks beautiful, but at the same time incredibly challenging. And it's probably got more of a style that I feel like is more attractive to make me want to try a Souls-like type game. That one I feel will probably be the one that may, apart from Kina, that may actually send me down that rabbit hole of trying Souls-like games. I had a couple of other ones. Project Windless was another one. That one may be a way off, but it sees you fighting as like a giant rooster.
That was my takeaway from that. I was watching, I was like, is this a piss take? Like, yeah. I was like, oh no, this is actually, I was just like watching, it's like, this is a serious game, it's beautiful. Oh, okay, is this clearly
unironic chicken in Battlefield?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I already thought that this year was going to be a bit weird with some anime releases. There's I think it's called Rooster Fighter or something. That's an anime that's coming out possibly next month. But I can't remember when. But then I saw this, I was like, man, what is it about roosters this year? It's like
you're the rooster.
So I'm definitely very curious to see like what comes of this. I'm watching the like the developments for these over the next few months.
Well, one thing that I did mention earlier, which was kind of weird that it wasn't included in the State of Play, because I think it belonged within a week or two, people of Perth and beyond. Sony decided that why put it in the State of Play, because it's exciting enough. Let's just throw a random 5-second trailer out there saying is Marvel's Wolverine is coming out in September. So September 15, that is actually really big news because these games often get delayed. This is probably the most anticipated title for people over PS5 since buying that console. I think it's quite fair to say in many ways, apart from the latest GTA game, which will be cross-platform. All about envy, Johnny. I think, to be fair, if this was coming out and Castlevania was an exclusive, and hey, John Wick, do you reckon, Johnny, you'd be getting on that PS5 train this year?
Yeah, I'd be sold if that was the case, yeah.
100%. And Tim, what did you think about the September 15 trailer? How are you going to squeeze this in with your gaming backlog?
Oh man, time is very short this year. Yeah. Between this and like what I plan to finish on the Switch 2 and the PC, like I don't know where I'm gonna find the time. I'm just gonna have to basically write off sleep for the near future. But like September, yeah, I'm super pumped for this, man. And if this is the game, like if maybe like I hype it up enough, maybe you guys will join the dark side and get a PS5
Probably will. If they bring out a special edition, and it'll be like a special edition, it'll be yellow with the controller with the claws on it, I'm sold. Like, let's not kid ourselves. People at Birth and Beyond, let's not kid ourselves. It's not just Sony who decided to throw out a biggie straight after their presentation, but Nintendo did it too. So they decided to completely ignore little Link on his big anniversary and decided to focus on whatever the heck is going on in Pokemon Pokopia, as well as a Game Boy Advance, Johnny, re-release of Green Leaf, Fire Red, I don't know, there's a dinosaur in there somewhere. What is going on at the moment? I just wanted to give a quick shout out because Nintendo decided to do a Treehouse Direct and focus on Mario Wonder, the Switch 2 edition, Bella Bell's Park. I'm not even going to try and go through the title of that one. But a big game that's coming out very soon, 5 March, is Pokemon Pokopia. We've all got kids. We all hate farming sims. Lads, what do you think of this one? Do you think it's going to be a hit or not? Johnny, I'm going to throw to you. We know the answer on this one. Hey.
Yeah, look, people love their little pocket monsters, and it's going to go off. I know. Look, John,
you can punch the walls with mitts, Johnny, to farm. Yeah, why would you not buy this?
Look, I know you and I, we aged out and we just missed the Pokemon craze, I think, but it is genuinely huge. And so I totally get what I can appreciate. There's like a lot of excitement for this, and people just love to get their Pokemon on in the different different formats. So
that's true.
It's great. The Pokemon fans are eating well. I'm sure Zelda will get its chance at some point. Nintendo might remember that they had a franchise called The Legend of Zelda at some point.
Johnny, you didn't feel like shelling out $30 for a Game Boy Advance Pokemon game on the anniversary of Zelda?
I know it's very hot off the presses, but effectively they've just launched a teaser for what looks like Pokemon Wind Waker. Wind and waves. So it looks like it's like the Pokemon company's trolling the Zelda fans kind of directly now. Look, my daughter's quite into the Pokemon game. She played a lot of Pokemon Sword. I can see this being very popular.
Yeah, there's heaps going on for the Pokemon fans at the moment. Tim, do you feel the need to shell out $30 for a Game Boy Advance game that is not on the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online service? It's been sold to us separately, and if you check the eShops, the eShop on the Nintendo Switch, it is selling like hotcakes because it's Pokemon. Tim, thoughts on the latest Pokemon information?
Look, I admit I've played at least one Pokemon game in my lifetime.
You've done well. That's more than me.
Yeah, I think you guys called it before. I think I aged out. When the craze started hitting, and so sadly I don't own any Pokemon cards. I wished I hadn't aged out back then. But I definitely can see the appeal. I might end up getting one just for old time's sake and try it out. I think Pokemon Pokopia definitely would be something that my daughter would be interested in. I mean, she already loves cozy games like Hello Kitty Island Adventure, it looks very much like in the vein of Animal Crossing. So yeah, there is a high chance that player 3 in this household will end up making me buy those games.
Yeah, my kids are a bit too young for gaming, but I can see them just getting straight into it. And Pokemon Pokopia, it's either that or Minecraft. So it looks like Pokemon are here to stay. And people at Birth and Beyond, just so you know, we won't be talking about Pokemon for another 3 years. Lads, what we were all clearly excited about. Now, IGN also had Fan Fest just in the last couple of days. It's not as big as the Showcase Directs, and it's a mix of, there's news about movies and other things. I think coming back to our era, it would be fair to say that we're all very excited for the Marvel Maximum Collection. This was announced, and this just looked freaking awesome. So for old school gamers like us, we love the old beat-em-up games, we love the old Marvel games. I had hoped this would come along at some point. I wasn't sure if it ever really happened with the whole Marvel licensing and what's going on there. But the fact that this has the original X-Men, the arcade game in it, which I've played on the arcade multiple times. Shout out also, just Perth Arcade over there. It's fantastic. Checked it out there, but I played this in my youth as well. Played Captain America and the Avengers as well. Did not play the Silver Surfer game, but this is a collection of games. Looks fantastic. Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum Carnage is in there. Can't believe it's in there. That's so good. It's so good because that was one of my favorite games on the SNES. I'm going to force you both to play it. Lads, tell me how you feel about this collection of games. Are you as excited as me? Johnny, I'm going to throw to you first.
Oh, look.
Look. No. You're excited. Get on the train, brother.
I'm not a big Marvel guy. I'm
No.
a bit of a DC guy going back, so my DC loyalty comes out a bit, and I'm cooling my jets a little bit because I'm not as into Marvel as you guys, Marvel comics. But I'll never say no to another beat 'em up. Beat 'em up's always good fun. I didn't play as many of these back in the day, so I don't have that intense nostalgia for some of these. So you probably should have gone to Tim first for this one, Jono, because it's I'm rusted on to DC, so I'm always looking to cool. Pour cold water on the Marvel hype.
It
John,
started with Pokemon, and now it's the water on the Marvel hype. I think that's the end of the episode, lads. Tim, rescue us because we need it. Tell us how excited you are for. What's that, Tim?
John, I was just going to say, do you have a kick button for this call?
I do. I do. There's a red button on my laptop, but just eject people. It's like, off he goes. Out, and it's a Pokemon special.
No, I'm super excited about this collection, much like you are. I'm thinking the fact that you now get the X-Men arcade game. You can play 6 players online. That's so cool. I have a cousin who was bitching and whining about how, like, with one of the last releases of X-Men arcade game, you couldn't play more than 4 players or something like that.
The fighting collection it might be, yeah.
Maybe, but he was saying like, oh yeah, like I had everything. I had like the whatever that could plug in extra controllers to the console and all that sort of thing. But this is like a major nostalgia kick for me. I'm seeing the Captain America and the Avengers game for NES, which I owned. That was dog shit. There was the Spider-Man on Game Boy that was also ass. But I'm so excited to finally get to play both Maximum Carnage and Separation Anxiety. I had a friend in primary school and high school, and then he had this device that I'd told you guys about offline where it slotted into the top of the Super Nintendo. And you put the cartridge in as well, but then you'd also insert a floppy disk, and then it would record the game.
Sounds like legit Nintendo's hardware there to me.
So he had like this massive collection of games, and my only experience of Maximum Carnage was playing it at his house, and there was something so janky and shady about. Here's like my copy of the game, this floppy disk. And then you'd insert it and it'd make all the noises that you guys will remember. But you were able to play the game. That was my only experience with it. And I was just like, man, this guy is the best. Like, he had that. So he had a massive collection of games for the Super Nintendo and the N64. And I was just like, man, you're a prick.
It's just not fair. Didn't you hear of the Nintendo floppy disk drive, Tim?
Yeah.
It's on the market.
But now, like, like, even better. I got it when I'm 40.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
at least some of us are enthusiastic about good games,
yes,
Tim, I tell you.
Some of us.
But I can't see a DC collection coming out anytime soon. Anyway, we do need to move on. Any honourable mentions before things get too dishonourable within the Perth Gaming crew itself? Tim, I think you wanted to mention a couple of things about Fan Fest very quickly before we wrap up. And Johnny
for sure, man.
Something to say too.
For sure. I had a couple of games. Like I love this Take Two. I love Dave the Diver. So, great fishing game. So yeah, I was surprised to see 2 fishing games announced at IGN Fan Fest. There was Out Fishing and Dreadmore, and both of them look crazy good. They're first-person shooter style, but I think there was with Dreadmore, it was more Lovecraftian sort of animals that you catch. Looks very nightmarish. But Out Fishing looks more like a straight up horror game, because like once the sun goes down and gets to night, you're I don't know, there's something that's stalking you, and it looks really, really scary. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play my way through it, but I definitely want to give it a go. I think the biggest thing out of that IGN Fest was that we got the new Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, man. Like that was probably like that probably made my week, just seeing that and seeing more of Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. Safe to say that, like, it sucks that we have to wait a few more months before we get to watch it in cinemas, but very excited.
We cannot wait. All three of us are pumped about that. We'll be covering it in May together with Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And if you haven't seen our Mortal Kombat original and reboot series, special, go check that out. That was a recent one. We're going to wrap up today because Johnny loves his anniversaries and he's got a keen eye for them. And there are a lot going on this year. You might have seen on Insta, he's been doing a lot of work on there, promoting some of the big and special ones. Johnny, do you want to fill us in some of the recent anniversaries?
Yeah, so 2026 is just a massive year for video game anniversaries. And in February alone, there was some bangers that passed us by. For example, the aforementioned Pokemon, they had their 30th anniversary. Stardew Valley, the indie hit, had its 10th anniversary just a couple of days ago. And on the same day, the Nintendo 3DS and its launch titles had their 15th anniversary. I was a big fan of the 3DS. Some of my favorite games of all time are on the 3DS, like Ocarina of Time 3D and Metroid Samus Returns. And also, one of my PC gaming favorites, Lemmings, had its 35th anniversary just about a week ago. And and of course, the Legend of Zelda had its 40th anniversary. Even if Nintendo, it was a bit quiet on the anniversary, I think the fans of Zelda definitely celebrated that anniversary. If you're on social media at all, it was just wall-to-wall Zelda for a couple of days earlier last week. Lots of content on these anniversaries up on our Instagram and Blue Sky pages. So if you're into your video game history, check those out, because it is something we like to keep one eye on in the Perth Gaming Crew. And if you thought there were a lot of anniversaries in February, hold on to your butts, because there's a lot more coming throughout the year.
Nice. Awesome. And I think, speaking of anniversaries and that recent big one, would it be fair to say we know what's coming up in our next episode, Johnny?
Yeah, so next episode, welcoming back Gemma from the Pure Nintendo podcast to talk about our favourite 2D overhead Legend of Zelda games. Not necessarily a favourite, but just a selection that we've been playing lately. So I'm very much looking forward to that. All week I've been playing through the OG Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I've been really enjoying the thrill of going back to that game after many, many years. Look forward to that in a couple of weeks. People of Perth and beyond.
Nice. Well, the people of Perth and beyond do what Nintendo don't, I should say. That is all we have time for today. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed catching up all the gaming news. Lots to play, lots to look forward to. And we will catch you at our next episode celebrating the 2D top-down, the Legend of Zelda series. Excited for that. Any final words, lads, for the people of Perth and beyond? Tim?
I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of backlog clearing to do. This year is going to be an absolute monster of a year for games, but one that I'm very excited for and excited to share my experience of for the rest of this year. don't be surprised if my hair is a little bit whiter in future episodes, because I feel like there is going to be some rage.
Love it. Johnny, how about you? Any final words from you?
No, I was just going to say it was a grand time recounting some of the gaming showcase highlights of the last couple of weeks with you lads. So look forward to doing it all again soon.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. That is the Perth Gaming Crew Show. Over and out. See you later.
See you guys.